Are you sitting comfortably? Then we'll begin.
10 minutes left. Yeah, but there's still some time. It's not the final score. We need more than the numbers we're given. Show us you live and breathe the game. You're more than a name. That's what we came for. We can bring you more than the score. Every story. Let's take this thing off of the field into the real world, away from the numbers,
Well, hello and welcome to episode 207 of There's Still Time, the AFTN soccer show. I'm Michael McCall,
I'm Zachary Adam Eisenhammer.
I'm William Silver.
and we're bringing you this podcast from UBC, fresh from watching the Whitecaps under-16s demolish Seattle Sounders under-16s 3-0, clinching a place in the USSDA Final Four. More on that later. We're going to kick this show off with some chat about the wonderful win on Wednesday night. Whitecaps' first team. Can't really say demolished New York, I guess, because it was a very, very late victory. But it was certainly a roller coaster of a game. Caps take the lead early, fall behind by half-time, fight back to win 3-2. What was your overall take in coming out of that one, Zach?
Steve Pender got something right.
Did he go for 3-2?
He went 2-1, but the fact that he talked about, the coming back from a disappointing match with a bit of grit and a bit of determination, and I think we saw that. I think we saw that on the field. I think it was evident from our coaches and how they approached the game, or at least how they made tactical adjustments in the game. And it was nice. It was a nice performance, a nice win, and it was, I think, nice for the supporters of the Whitecaps to enjoy that kind of victory.
And well, what did you make of the overall performance, and especially the kind of game of two halves? Really, completely different team coming out in that second half.
Well, I think in the second half, the thing that was really enjoyable is that, in the past, especially last year, those were the games we lost. We couldn't battle back from them. I think also, breaking down the play a bit, is it was nice to see them actually pass it out of their end, which was a nice of a switch, especially since it feels like the last few games they've just been pounding it down the field, going back a little bit to the Martin Rennie sort of problem of pounding down the field, and to see some passing out of the backfield, and especially when Reina came on, and a lot of creativity. I think those are real positives.
And they got off to a flying start. A couple of minutes in, I think we can chalk that one up to the turf. Alexander Ring catching his foot in the turf, falling over. Great anticipation though from Fredy Montero to see that play happening. And then coming in on goal, gave a little bit of a shimmy, kind of put his shoulder down, sent the keeper the wrong way, and a wonderful finish into the bottom corner. And at that point, you're thinking, wow, I wasn't expecting this, but it was a great goal. Going into that one, Montero had only scored one goal in the last 9 matches. So good for his confidence getting back on that. And you could also argue, I guess, the goal that he did get wasn't necessarily his goal, because it was Timmy Parker's. But Grace seems back in the score sheet, and yeah, great anticipation for it.
It was, it did feel a little unexpected, but it's nice to finally, not finally, but it's nice to get something from our poor playing surface at BC Place, as opposed to losing players to it by injury or by not coming to Vancouver. It was great to take the lead, and I think a little bit. I felt a little bit surprising, but quality finish.
I think I was just really happy because especially the way the Caps have been playing over the last couple of seasons, the first goal is so important for morale. I did hate to see them sit back so much. It seemed like the second part of the first half, they sat back so much. I turned to one of the other people in the curve and just said, the goal's coming. It's coming soon. I don't like to be right, but that did happen. So, I think it was great they scored the early goal. I hated to see them sit back, but that tends to be the way that we're doing, especially with this low possession game that we're playing.
Yeah, I was the same. You knew New York had a goal in them. They were always going to score it at some point during that game. And then, of course, it comes in the 34th minute. Another defensive blunder, another mistake by Ousted, spilling the ball, but just all round, just some poor defensive play. And then Shano just pounced on that and poked it home from close range. But disappointing to see another goal given up to another defensive mistake.
Yeah, no, it's really disheartening, especially after the early goal. And then the second goal, you kind of feel like this is the same song but a different tune. Yeah. I think that's also a positive as well to come back from that, because it was kind of crushing and the crowd was definitely disappointed. To have such good energy at the end was a great turnaround.
Losing a goal like that first one, Zach, we've seen it so many times before. Do you have concerns about the defence and how easy they're giving up goals, or do we have a team that if we do give up a couple of goals here and there, we've got the attack that at least can get them back in it, as we did see yesterday?
Yeah, I think, and we've seen that more often than not this year, as opposed to previous years where it felt like once we went behind, it felt like the match was over. But I'm not overly concerned because, again, you had Kendall coming back from injury, you had Jake in his second or third game. I wasn't. There was some errors. That first goal was not pretty. I wasn't too concerned. What I was more concerned about is the consistency of the poor officiating from MLS, which led to or resulted in our second goal. Right? There's no way that's ever a foul.
Well, I've gone back and forth on it. When I first saw it, it took me a couple of attempts to actually realise that he'd given a penalty, because I thought he had given a free kick for Ousted getting a boot to the face. Then you're watching the replay, and then it became clear he'd given the penalty. And I'm watching the replay, and I still couldn't see what it was for. And then good old Steve Pander said, I think he's hit him with his cast. And then you're looking at it, and one angle makes it look like there could have been contact, and McNamara sold it well, held his face, went down holding his face into Ousted. But then when you see it from other angles, and I've spoken to some photographers that were taking photos, and they said there was no contact at all.
Well, that's where I think, to quote my German friend over there, there's a lot of maybe cultural experiences going on where it's part of their culture. There's a lot of going down a bit soft, as we saw later in the second half. So I definitely think, I have to admit, the first time in the stadium I didn't catch it because I was busy putting batteries into a megaphone. But true story. But I think once I saw it a few times, I don't think it was a foul, but I see that there was contact. I think that he went down way too light. Pirlo went down a couple times too light, and I don't think it was a foul, but I can see where some people are saying. I think there was a lot of confusion in the stadium about it being on Ousted. So at least in the crowd, there's a lot of anger, I think, originally, because, and this is partly watching it in the stadium, they don't always show the replays on these things. So the crowd was just going nuts. And at the half, they actually had the sort of police or security walk the referee out through the tunnel because so many people actually crowded our section because they wanted to go over and give the ref a piece of their mind. So, in the stadium, it seemed a lot worse than when I went home and watched some of the recaps.
Yeah, I did notice a lot of the extra security by the tunnel area. And you mentioned Pirlo there, and poor old pensioner Pirlo, his hip gave out twice, once in each half in the box. He just can't obviously get forward anymore, went down, obviously popped it, needs a little bit of an operation. But then they go in 2-1 at half-time, you're fearing the worst. You're playing a star-studded New York team that's moved the ball away well. The Whitecaps have been second best in that half. And I don't know. I asked Robbo afterwards, did he use that incident as motivation for the team of, look, this is what you're up against, you're fighting against this. But whatever happened, they were a different team in that second half. Right from the get-go, attacking, going forward, moving the ball well from wing to wing, and just a completely different second half.
Yeah, it was, and it had to do with, I think, that halftime team talk.
Well, then Harvey gets the goal in the 54th minute.
Beautiful cross. Bolo, like, terrific ball to the back post. Harvey steady. Hadn't scored for, 3 years or 2.5 years or whatever, but steady at the back post. Quality finish right over the keeper's head. A really hard place for a keeper to adjust to. Yeah, I was so happy for Jordan. Another quality ball from Bola. And it really... It felt like a little bit like we got our tails up. Like we were a little bit like, okay, now we can go and win this.
Yeah, I mean, Bola's crossing in the first half and Teixeira's as well had been patchy. There was a lot of misplaced passes, but the second half, it was a beautiful curling cross from Bola right on to Jordan Harvey. Sweet volley finish. And it's kind of nice to see that it isn't just the Whitecaps that don't pick up players at the back post and allow a goal to go in.
Yeah, well, even Reyna was making runs that people weren't picking up. So, I mean, it was encouraging that we were actually making those runs and getting to the balls. Just to continue on what you're saying, after the Harvey goal, I mean, that was definitely a boost, but you bring Reyna on and that's a whole change to the game, right? So it was, and, you hear a lot of chat afterwards, and there was a lot of hype around Reyna, and we'll have to see long term, but definitely very encouraging because he really added that creative spark that I think people have been looking for. And if we can add a couple more pieces maybe in this window, I think it actually is looking pretty good. But it may just be some of these pieces that people are talking about, like Hutch, maybe in the short term, but Reyna looks like he's pretty good for a while.
Yeah, Reyna was the difference maker when he came on. We saw it in glimpses in the heavy defeat in Chicago, so it's kind of hard to take much from that. But a dream home debut, you come on, you get your goal, the game winner, 2 minutes from time. But just the little movements that he did and the passes, and just he was busy, he wanted to get involved. Robbo said afterwards he's a player that likes to get in the box. And I think one of the most pleasing aspects is you could see it right away, that right as soon as he comes on, Montero is not isolated. He's actually got somebody that can help him out and do some of the heavy work and trying to take some of the pressure off him.
I think I might have seen him crack a smile for the first time since he's been here. But no, seriously, between Fredy and Teixeira, I mean, you could already see that sort of creativity just come unlocked. And almost immediately there was just a lot of interplay in the box. Besides the quite amazing, Superman header that he put in, there was at least two more plays that time he got it in the box and actually, quieted the ball down and took a turn at it. I mean, that was like, we don't see that very often from the Whitecaps. So that was encouraging. There's another one that was over the bar, that he sort of just got a wrong-footed volley on it, but that was encouraging as well. And he was only 30 minutes on the field, and I would say he had at least two other chances that could have gone in.
Yeah, we saw a little bit of his magic, right? We saw a little bit of this, what we saw in Portland early in the year, where he can dance and he can make those intricate passes in the middle or even from wide positions, right? And yeah, it was encouraging. It's nice to have a player with that kind of football IQ and that kind of creativity and that kind of drive to create and to take chances. You're right. We saw it at Chicago, that time where he cut in from the left, played the ball through the middle. It bounced out to him, and he had to go and actually tested Lamson that day. And what a great home debut. Obviously, we're looking forward to a full debut in a few weeks' time against Portland. But it was nice for him. I think it was nice for the coaching staff to see the side grit their teeth and come from behind and not be taken down by a strong side or poor officiating or whatever. We don't have to talk about those things in the same light as we would have if it was a draw or a loss. But it was nice to see them be able to get the result.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to heap too much pressure on Reyna and have him as being the saviour of the team, but it's hard not to get excited and carried away, just from what we saw pre-season, from the little glimpses we've seen from 2 subs appearances, and the finish for the goal. One of the smallest guys on the pitch, a bullet of a header, but even building up to that, the interplay between Christian Teixeira and Jake Nerwinski was fantastic. And that's going to give Nerwinski so much confidence. He tore up that right wing in the later stages. And one thing that we have to mention is, I was saying to Steve, you were kind of looking at the formation and the shape of the team. And he'd kept the 2-man defensive shield on there. And you're saying to yourself, is he going to just be happy to get a point out of this, or is he going to go for it? And then he went for it.
Totally. When he brought on when Bernie came on around the 85th minute or whatever, and took off AJ, it was a clear signal of 1 point is not good enough today. We're at home. We need to win, and that was, I think, hugely refreshing. And I think it also helped the players on the park to recognize, okay, yeah, we need to go and finish this. And fair play to Bola, went in the middle, kind of further back, and had to do a little bit more of heavy lifting in terms of defensively and keeping possession. And it was like, okay, this is one is not good enough. It must be 3 today.
Certainly was refreshing. I know you guys have mentioned in the past there's been a few decisions where they've brought on Tybert or other defensive people when they could have run on Mosquito or other options. So it was nice, as Zach says, just to actually take an offensive turn at it.
The goal, Nerwinski's cross, fantastic cross, and the bullet of a header. But for Nerwinski, that's going to give him so much confidence. He had a bit of a rough outing against Chicago, although who didn't have a bit of a rough outing against Chicago? And he had a really solid game against New York, and playing a lot of top talent, kept him at bay, got forward in the second half, and the cross that he whipped in was phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a positive sign. Obviously, there's other things going on, but it's nice to see competitiveness at a position and people pushing each other in a position. So, I mean, it's great if it's not like last year where it seemed it was... I hate to use the Dumb and Dumber. It's not that bad, but last year it was definitely, there was no good option at right back. There was, I don't want to totally thrash Fraser Aird because he showed some signs, but certainly there was ups and downs, and then he was injured, and as much as I like Jordan, there definitely was some weakness at the right back position. So it's nice to see that we almost have the reverse problem developing. Definitely it's a little bit too soon with Jake. After only a few MLS games, it's nice to see Jake actually make some genuine offensive contributions and still not create big defensive liabilities at the same time.
And moving forward, it gives Robbo a headache because Nerwinski's done well. Shane Williams is now back, fit, available to play. Well, maybe not fit, he's still getting up to match fitness, but he's available to play. Does Robbo put Williams back in as the veteran after the break? Or do you keep with Nerwinski? Or do you just let the two of them battle it out at training in the week before the LA game?
The situation with Shannon still feels awkward. I know when we talked about this before, and we don't need to talk this in great detail. I understand people's perspective of he doesn't know anyone, any kind of description about what's going on, and or what happened, what didn't happen, whatever. And I understand the perspective of you play for our club, and we need to know a little bit more than what's been shared so far, or there needs to be a bit more of a remorseful attitude towards maybe not what happened, but what it caused, the disruption it caused at the club. Now, some may feel the statement covered those things, and that's fine. But there's an awkwardness, and so I tend to think that Jake's been playing pretty well, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him continue. At the same time, I wouldn't be surprised to see them put Shane back in.
I don't know. I think Nerwinski's deserved to keep his starting spot. with the way that he's played. I just don't think it sends a good message to him and the other young players if you then put Williams back in the lineup without him having earned it. Now, if in the next week or so Williams outperforms him drastically at training, that's a whole different matter, and we'll keep a close eye on that. So that's some of our thoughts on the Whitecaps win over New York City. Let's hear a little bit now from both head coaches. So we'll hear first from Whitecaps coach Carl Robinson, and then from a man well travelled, New York City FC head coach Patrick Viera.
So I imagine if we'd spoken to you at half-time, a much different feeling to how you feel now. Did you use that adversity in the first half to motivate the team? Because they looked like a completely different team in the second half.
Yeah, you have to give credit sometimes to the opposition team, and we got off to a really good start. I wanted to play on the front foot today, especially after Saturday's disappointment, and we did. We got a goal from that, but we weren't in any doubt that it would be a very difficult game against NYCFC. They got top players, and players who haven't played regular minutes for them come in today. So we knew it would be difficult, and we knew they would have a lot of the ball because they were a possession-orientated team, and we hung in there. I think I've used it before, an awful decision. It was an awful decision. And I've said to the players, I want to keep 11 men on the field at half-time, reset, refocus, and just get back to basics. And that was us in the second half. We've got to know who we are. If we think we're going to go and pass every team off the park, we're mistaken. If we want to make the game simple and get our attacking players in attacking areas to let them express themselves like we did in the second half, we're going to win games. And that's what I said to them at half-time. I was quite calm this half-time compared to Saturdays.
I think when you look at the game, I think both teams had their own half. I think even if we concede the first goal in the first half, I think we managed to get back and winning 2-1. I think in the first half we create a lot of chances and we only scored 2 goals. And then when they came back in the second half, I think they were more aggressive. They put us under a lot of pressure. And the chances or the situation that they created, they scored the goals. I think both teams had their own half, and the difference was that they taking their chances and we didn't. Were in the first half.
Patrick, are you disappointed, particularly when you had the chance to win the game with 2 from Harrison, I think 1 from being very late on, that they just didn't take them, didn't even hit the target test David Ostin in those situations?
Yeah, I think you're always disappointed when you're winning 2-1 at halftime and lose the games 3-2 and created the number of chances that we created away from home. But, when I look at the performance of my players, the way they work, it's difficult for me to ask them to do more than what they did today. I'm really happy with their performances, and I believe that if we keep playing like that, if we keep working the way we've been working in the last few weeks, we will win more games that we're going to lose. But today you have to give credit to Vancouver, because the first half was tough for them, because I think we played well, but they managed to find the energy and to bounce back and to score these 2 goals in the second half who give them the 3 points. So you have to give them a lot of credit as well, because they play some really good football at time.
There seems an awful lot of strong teams in the Eastern Conference this season. At the halfway stage, what are you making of the race for the Eastern Conference?
I think it is really open. I think, of course, you have Toronto and Chicago who are doing really well at the moment. But I think, in the league, what is interesting is that anybody can lose points against any other team. So we're still in the competition. Of course, it's going to be really difficult. It's going to be really tough. But it's going to be difficult for other teams as well. So, we are playing well. We are playing some really good football. And I tell you, like I said earlier, and if we keep playing like that, we will win more games that we're going to lose.
So Carl Robinson, Patrick Viera there with their thoughts on the match. Just a couple of final things I just want to talk about. One was the shape. The Caps went back to a 4-2-3-1. Chaney and Jacobson in the middle with Kendall Waston returning to the back line. Playing with a bandage on, obviously not 100% good to go. And you kind of wonder if Kendall didn't have that bandage on and there was the flailing arm, would the penalty have been given?
I assume you saw, but in his displeasure over the call, he ripped the whole thing off, throwing a bunch of it on the ground and throwing the main part off the pitch. But then he got a new one at halftime because he was wearing one at the end. I do wonder a little bit about that, but it was obviously the wrong call. And it'll be interesting to see if Disco protects their referee on this, or they're
pretty good at doing that,
right? But they're also pretty good at. I hate this term, but they're also really good at throwing them under the bus. So it'll be interesting to see. There's multiple plays in that game where they could decide to, give bans to players for their actions.
Yeah, and we'll come to one of those in a few minutes.
Yeah, I was just going to say that certainly it would be interesting to see what Disco does. It's been a bit different this year, but last year it was completely inconsistent and sort of undercutting referees a lot of the time.
Talking of the other kind of flops and stuff, Herrera in the first half, Montero goes chest to chest with him. Herrera goes down like he's been shot by a sniper. Surely he's going to get discoed.
It's Disco, so you never know, but it would be nice to see that type of embellishment or simulation punished. And so, yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong. The most heinous part is he grabbed his face, right, when he went down?
Yes.
Yeah. So that needs to be something needs to happen there. I could see it maybe being a fine because it was not for a penalty. It was not a game-changing thing, but something needs to happen there because that's a disgrace to football, and in a culture like North America where simulation is not valued, is not seen as being clever. It's actually seen as a negative. It's you can't have that.
Yeah, it's a scumbag move. There's no defending it at all. And I think it will just be a fine, but he definitely has to get something for it. It was shocking to see.
Those are the things that make YouTube highlight reels, right? So, I mean...
for their own reasons.
Yeah, and as Zach says, I mean, you never know with Disco, but you got to think this is one of the things that reflects badly on the league, and that's where... it is a bit of a cultural thing, and it's one of the things that's held the game back a bit in North America, is this culture of flopping or diving or whatever you want to call it. So, not that the league talks to me on a regular basis, but I would definitely think that this is one of those things you have to stamp out and make an example of. Whether they do, let's see what happens.
And I got a chance to ask Fredy about that after the match, just really for his thoughts to see what it's like to see another professional doing that to you. So here's what Fredy had to say. You've been in this game for a long time. How disappointing is it to see a fellow professional just fall to the ground like that when there's no contact?
That's going to end as soon as we have the video replay. I think that's something that's going to help the game, because sometimes that calls change the games. Even a yellow card or red card or a penalty kick like the one that we had today. And it's out of control as a player. You only need to show when you had the ball. So we don't make the calls, but we can take it back as well.
So that was Fredy Montero's thoughts there, not on Herrera's flop. And yeah, it's one of those things, as he said there, you pick up a booking, accumulation of yellow cards could come into play, and it's just... I had a heart-stopping moment in the second half when Montero was fouled and he grabbed the ball, and I thought we were going to see another Matthias Labas situation where he was going to get sent off for getting a second yellow for touching the ball. But thankfully that didn't come to pass. And then looking at the shape, Chaney Jacobson, the two-man defensive shield with Matty Laba out suspended. I liked seeing the 4-2-3-1 again. I thought it worked well in the match. Going forward, it's like, do we want to go with this 4-2-3-1? Do we want to go for a 4-1-4-1? And if everyone's healthy, what does this starting 11 look like?
Matthias Slaba will return to the starting 11, which I think will impact kind of the formation. I could see them going back to a 4-1-4-1, but the bigger question is, how are you going to fit in? Where are you going to fit in Reyna? That's the biggest question. So I could see 4-1-4-1 and him kind of in the middle, or I could see more of a 4-2-3-1 again with him in the middle or out wide, depending on who's available. The nice thing is with people, not everyone, but with people getting healthy again, is there are even more attacking options and even more things for our opponents to plan for and to prepare for, and options for ways for us to change games. So it'll be interesting to see what Robbo decides to do. But you got to think for sure Reyna starts against Portland on the 23rd.
Yeah, no, I have to agree. I mean, especially after what we saw in the 30 minutes that he was on the field, and also the way that he interacted with people like Montero, who's basically been on the island of Dr. Monroe for the last 5-6 games. It was definitely encouraging. You can't see anything but him starting. I mean, Channy is an interesting one because I guess he didn't notably suck this game. He wasn't horrible, definitely more encouraging, but besides maybe 1 or 2 games, he really hasn't shone all that much, and it feels like they've given him a real shot. But it really, like you say with the formation, if they choose this formation going forward, he kind of slots in there, but are they going to pick up anybody else? The Atiba Hutchinson thing, some people are saying it's done, some people are saying it's not going to happen. So, I mean, I think that would really change a bit of it too.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, the transfer window opens next week. Lots of rumours floating about. One, from a Whitecaps point of view, that Christian Dean might move on. That could see Robbo looking at bringing in a centre-back. I kind of think a formation that could work quite nicely is a 4-1-3-2. With Laba as the holding, and then up front have Reyna and Montero, so you've got them complementing each other and just playing off each other and giving each other something else. Bolaños maybe in the middle if he wants to do that, with Davies and Shea either side of that. But then you've got Channy and Jacobson, like where do you fit them in as well?
And you forgot Christian Teixeira and all that.
True. But I still would like to see a 4-1-3-2 and then try and fit your pieces into that formation. I know Jacobson's been doing well, and it would be a shame to see him drop out the lineup, but I think when you're at home especially and you want an attacking performance, he sits. On the road, maybe go to the 4-1-4-1 with him coming in. But of course the Caps did have their biggest success, or at least a spell of successes, where they didn't change their lineup for a number of weeks. So we'll see with that going forward. So last thing just to ask you about this then. The Caps are going into a break now. They don't play LA for 2 weeks down in LA. Is it a good thing to have the break now to get all the players rested, healthy, back to full strength? Or do you want to really be building on this momentum?
Yeah, I think if you ask players, they want to keep playing. However, I think probably for the overall, where things are right now, this is probably not a bad time for a break. It gives certain players the opportunity to get fully fit. It'll give certain players like a Christian Dean hopefully some time to get minutes with WFC2. But when you win, you never want to stop. You want to keep going. But yeah, hopefully it helps get ready for that LA away game and more importantly, the Cascadia Cup game against Portland.
I think again, I have to agree from a player's point of view. I think you want to keep on a roll, especially with Reyna coming in and having such a hot start. You want to keep building on that, building the chemistry. But from the organization standpoint, this is actually not a bad thing for them to build a little bit of buzz, have some positive stories out there, especially after some of the things that have been going a couple weeks ago. This is actually a good build into the game against Portland, and also for the players as well to get rested up, like you said. I'd like to see them playing again, but it is what it is.
One other thing is that I think when the schedule came out and this break was there, I think we were probably all excited about it because we were probably thinking there was a high probability of us losing our Ticos.
Yes.
And we do have, the 4 guys away with Canada. Yeah. And so
they don't care.
Which for you, Michael, I know is a big deal. So we're missing those guys. So in that sense, it's nice that it's nice that we're not missing the Ticos because they're on the side. but I mean, hopefully for Canada's sake, the Canadians aren't back in time either because they're gone far. But I think that when the schedule came out, this was a different kind of thing, and I think this was like something that we were excited about and happy about. And now I think it might be a little bit different.
Yeah, half time yesterday, I was quite glad that there was a break coming up. I didn't really want to be watching any more Whitecaps football, but I'm a bit disappointed now. They were on a roll, but it's going to get the guys healthy. So we've seen before we struggle sometimes when we come back from a break, and it's a tough stretch coming up. LA away, Portland at home, 3-game summer heat road trip that we get every year. We talked about that on Sunday, so we'll see what happens from that. And the Western Conference is kind of totally up for grabs at the moment. It's wide open. In the East, there's a couple of teams running away with it, one of them being New York City. We saw Chicago just a few days before as well. We've already seen Toronto. What did you make of New York?
We talked about this in the preview of the game, but it was nice. They play some nice football, and you could just see watching them how they play it out of the back, like how much they work on that, both in the movement and actually the passing of the ball. It's almost like when you play FIFA and you know where a guy's supposed to be because of the formation you're playing and the way you've tactically set things up. You know a guy's supposed to be in a certain spot, so you can play a ball there. It looked a little bit like that with New York last night. Like they knew where they were going to play the ball because they knew where everyone was going to be because of just how hard they are working the ball out of the back and guys coming back and getting into certain spots. So even in times where they were under pressure, they were still able to play the quick ball because they knew who was going to be there, how they're going to support them, and those guys are moving quickly into those spots. So they are, I think, an enjoyable team to watch aside from perhaps the simulation, and you can understand why they are where they are, and I think in the table.
So that's how you're meant to play FIFA. I just get the ball with my one man and try and run through every single player on the field. Not with much success, which is why I don't understand esports and think it's nonsense.
EA Sports.
No, esports.
No, EA.
Esports.
I don't know who's older.
Oh. So anyway, what did you make, Will, of New York?
Well, I mean, I think, so I guess to Zach's point about the passing out of the backfield, is that where we got it from? We saw them doing it, so we thought it might be worth a chance. No, I think you definitely see the quality there. I've heard a lot of comments. Actually, my brother-in-law he's a Toronto supporter. I try not to hold it against him. He was texting me like, this is a great neutrals game to watch. And I said, I wish I was a neutral. But it was, I think, a very enjoyable game, especially that back and forth. And you can really see the quality on some of those players when they're not flopping all over the field. And that build-up from the backfield as well. I know it took a while for them to develop that, as Zach says, knowing where players are going to go. But you can see where sometimes that investment in a formation, that investment in a system is worthwhile.
Yeah, and I told Patrick Viera after the game. I told him, I said, You were
speaking to Patrick Viera.
Oh, he was walking. We were cleaning up, and he was walking by the section. So I said thank you. I was going to say thank you for the 3 points, but I thought that might be a bit rude. So I just said thanks for the match, and then just told him like it's good to see how you have your players playing, how you play out of the back so well.
Yeah, they impressed me. I also like the fact that they brought their big names here because this is the kind of game they could have rested them from. Yeah. Long trip west on a plastic pitch, artificial turf pitch. And other teams have rested their guys or other players haven't come. So, I mean, full credit to have Viera, Perlo, all their guys out there. It was impressive to see. I do get the feeling that the East, there's a couple of really strong teams, and then there's a wider gap between them and some of the teams at the bottom. In the West, we're all kind of pretty level, and it is totally up for grabs. Now, Steve headed into the New York City locker room after the game. Got a chance to speak to striker Jack Harrison and defender Ben Sweat. So let's hear what they had to say.
So, first of all, your overall thoughts on the game?
I thought it was a tough game. I thought we didn't start off right, which is where they got their first goal early, and then we started to play got ourselves back into the game, and then gave up a goal, the second goal, the equaliser, which I take responsibility for. I thought I should have headed that away, and we couldn't finish our chances. I myself had a couple of chances that I should have finished off, so I'm pretty disappointed about that, but we're just a bit unfortunate, and they were able to come out with a win.
Was it the second half? Was it something they did differently, something you guys did differently, or was it just more pressure that they applied?
No, I think it was a bit of both, really. I think both sides were applying pressure. You know, it was a back and forth game, but yeah, they just finished their chances, and we didn't finish ours. So.
Playing with a guy like Perlo, obviously he's been in and out of the lineup this year. Does it make it easier or more difficult because it's kind of a different game he plays? Or is it just an adjustment?
I don't know. I mean, Andre is a great player. You know, obviously with his career and everything, he brings a lot to the team. And you know, I think I don't know. It's tough to say really. I wouldn't really put that into our game at all this year, today. But you know, with or without him, I think you know the team does great, and we have a very tough midfield. So it's been tough, but it's always great having him in there, and with his passing, it's incredible.
With like teams like in the East, it's so tough at the top. TFC seems like they're winning all the time. Chicago seems like they're winning all the time. Does it put more pressure on you guys? Just do you feel like you need to win almost every game at this point? Yeah, definitely.
I mean, we wanted to win today. It's to stay with them and to be competing with them throughout the season, and today was an important game, so we're disappointed about that.
Perfect, thank you. Your overall thoughts on the game and how it went? It seemed like a game of two halves with you guys dominating the first and they took over in the second.
Yeah, it was a little back and forth with both sides, and you know we had a chance to close the game out and kill them off, but we let them hang around on their home field in front of their fans, and gave them a little more momentum and a little more energy, and I think that was the only difference in the game, to be honest. You know, we made mistakes as a team today, and we lost as a team today. That's all.
What do you take it to? Like, do you think they put more pressure on you guys? Was something they did, something you guys did, or was it like tired legs from the travel, or like what? Is it a combination of everything?
I think they put a little more high pressure on us, and you know, we would play out of it, or you know, we would try to play out of it and then turn the ball over, and then you know, we'd have to be chasing back, and you know, it's tough to play against that sometimes. It's, you know, and they're playing a constant long ball game as well, which was also putting our back four and our goalkeeper under pressure a lot. So,
with teams like TFC and Chicago, they seem like it's so tough up top. You're with them in the top three. They seem like they're winning all the time. Chicago is just on fire, literally on fire right now. Yeah. Do you guys feel pressured to stay with them? Feel like you got to win every game, or
no? It's one game at a time, and we look at every game the same. The same tactics, same style of play for every game when we go into every single game, and that's not going to change throughout the year, no matter what place we're in or who we're playing against, home or away. Nothing, Patrick. It's not going to have anything change for us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So Jack Harrison and Ben Sweat there, and it'll be interesting to see how the East shapes out. Nice to see that Toronto aren't on the top anymore, and we'll see how all that shakes on down the road. In the West, like we say, it's all up for grabs. LA seem to be like shipping goals left, right and centre. Whitecaps head to them a week on Wednesday now, so we'll see how that plays out as well. But I think the big question now to ask everyone is, anyone fancy a chocolate digestive?
Anyone fancy a chocolate digestive? Anyone fancy a chocolate digestive? Anyone fancy a chocolate digestive, even though it sounds suggestive? Anyone fancy a chocolate digestive?
So Carl, you're at home, probably watching the football. You've got your beverage of choice in front of you.
Yeah.
What would you dunk in it? Chocolate digestive, rich tea biscuit, or are you not a dunker?
I am a dunker, but I'm more of a bourbon.
Oh,
yes.
fancy. You grew up posh.
No, I wouldn't say that at all. But I was addicted to bourbons, so that'll be my bourbon answer.
Excellent, thank you.
Anyone fancy a chocolate digestive? Anyone fancy a chocolate digestive? Anyone fancy a chocolate digestive, even though it's unsuggestive? Anyone fancy a chocolate digestive?
So that's our new section there. Robbo kicking it off. John Herdman is next up, and you'll hear that on Sunday's show. So just before we wrap up this episode of the podcast, we have to talk about why we are sitting in a dugout here tonight. Whitecaps residency under-16s beat Seattle Sounders under-16s 3-0 in the USSDA quarter-final. Fantastic win. 1-0 lead at half-time from Alessandro. Not even going to attempt his second name.
The captain.
Hodjaprur. Yep, probably murdered that. Storm has started the second half, 2 goals in the first 5 minutes. Jefferson Alad getting his 4th goal in 4 playoff games, and Jose Hernandez getting his 5th goal in the 4 playoff games. Takes the Whitecaps under-16s through to the semi-finals now. They'll head to LA next Friday. Semi-final is on Friday, and then the final, hopefully the championship game, will be on the Sunday, so hopefully we will see them in that. Regular under-16s head coach Adam Day wasn't able to take the team for this game. He's away on a coaching course. So the team was taken by assistant coach, everyone's favourite legend, Carl Valentine. So I got a chance to catch up with Carl after the game, just for his thoughts on that and just how he's enjoying his transition into coaching. So a fantastic win there. What did you make the overall performance to start with?
Yeah, we looked a bit tensive in the first half, and it's a big game. We're at home. We're playing Seattle. All the coaches are out and watching, and it's not like it was a big crowd, but you could see there was a little bit tentative. I thought we still, controlled the game for the most part, and they were dangerous on set plays. We had one bit of quality in that first half and we scored the goal, and that's what we told them at half time was just have a little bit more belief in the game, and I thought Seattle played as well as they could, and we were kind of not in second gear, and they came out the second half, they upped the tempo a little bit and got the 2 quick goals, and it was kind of game over then. But even saying that, Evan had to come up with some big saves and penalty save and some other big saves, so it was a good performance. I think the guys dug deep, a little bit of pressure, but in the end they handled it well.
The first half, Seattle had a number of chances and then didn't take them. What did you say to them at half-time? Because they came out in the second half all guns blazing, 2 goals in the first 5 minutes.
Well, we're just very tentative in the way we played, the way we pressed, not breaking lines. We're kind of playing not to lose a game, and it's tough sometimes, that you'd like them to be playing in more games like this where they feel that kind of pressure. Obviously they relax a little bit the second half, they come out with a lot more belief, and they got what they should have got, because they're a good team, and if they believe in themselves like they did in the second half, they're a tough team to play against, and it's a good learning experience this for them.
And folk who have seen a lot of these guys for the first time tonight, Jose Hernandez has had a fantastic year, 22 goals coming into tonight. How good a talent do you think he can be going forward?
He's a big talent. You look at the the residency program. We keep producing players with good potential, and he's one of them. He's more of a natural striker. We've been playing out wide to allow Jefferson to play up front, and he's a player we want to get even more involved in the game. So even though he's playing out wide, we encourage him to come inside and look for the ball. As you can see, he's comfortable on the ball. He likes taking on and running at defenders, and is a good finisher. He's very strong in the air. So we got high hopes for him.
And Jefferson's another guy I was going to ask you about. 4 goals now in 4 playoff games. He was injured for a bit of the year. What do you see in him moving forward?
Yeah, he's come on leaps and bounds. He's a player that's not really been in our programme for very long, and when he was injured up until Christmas, so we haven't been able to work with him a great deal, but he's really coming into his own right now in the playoffs, and today's game. His strengths holding up the ball, and he's getting a knack of scoring goals. We call him goal of game Jefferson. So that's something we knew we needed to get in his locker. We'd like to work on his movement as a front man, he's another good talent.
And moving on now to the Final Four, the semi-finals next week. First time the under-16s have made it to that stage. What does it mean to the programme, and what does it mean to you? You've been involved with this group now for a couple of years.
Yeah, we've had some heartbreaks. I've been in a couple of quarter-finals now with Rich and Adam, and there've been a couple of hard heartbreakers. I remember one of the games we probably deserved to lose. The other team was better, but one of the other quarterfinals we should have won. Last year's team was a quality team, and they didn't get out of the playoffs in Indianapolis. So this squad has really grown and got better, and they deserve everything they got, because when we went to Indianapolis play against 3 MLS teams, we probably went in as underdogs, and they gutted it out. They played LA to get to this stage, and they just show a lot of grit and determination and quality.
Moving into coaching, doing this, obviously you played for a number of years. How much do you enjoy this? What do you get out of this?
I've been where the kids have been. I've had the dreams that these kids have had. So, if I can, use my experience for them to know what the little things to do to get to that level. Like today was a great experience. I've been in quarterfinals and semis myself. You know how it feels, you know how the players feel. So you could relate to them at half time where they were a little bit tentative. So, I love just being around the guys, being around such quality players that, have their goals and aspirations that hopefully can help them on the way, knowing that, only a small percentage are going to make it. But if you can build, what we're trying to do is we can build good people as well as good players, then it's very, very rewarding.
Thank you so much. Good luck next week, and thanks, Carl.
Thanks a lot.
So Cal Valentine there. Great win for the Caps, Zach. What did you make of the match?
It's always good to beat the Flounders. It doesn't matter what age, what level, what league. So that was awesome. Great performance from the side. I felt like Escobar, the left back, was a beast on the day. Given license to just bomb forward. And the keeper made a penalty save to keep the Flounders off the score sheet. Also great.
Evan Ince had a fantastic second half. I mean, the game was over by that point, but he had 3 or 4 fantastic saves.
It was awesome. We were standing next to, I believe, his grandmother. She sat right here in a chair watching, and she was over the moon with her grandson's performance.
Yeah, it was a great crowd tonight. It was really good to see the support out there. What did you make of that performance, Will?
I just thought, it's actually great to see a lot of maturity in the U16s. A lot of confidence. I mean, it just seemed to ooze confidence, as Zach was saying. With Escobar, he showed a lot of confidence on the ball, a lot of nice movement, and the keeper made outstanding saves. So it really was a bit of a dominating performance, and it's just great to see that from the kids.
We were just talking about NYCFC and how they play the ball at the back. One of the things tonight a little bit, but also when watching the feeds of some of the games in Indiana. It was nice. It's nice to see this side play the ball at the back with confidence. And I didn't notice it as much tonight as I did when I was watching those feeds, but it was nice to see the two-footedness of a lot of our players and just the way that they're developing. Yeah, no, it's whether that's the player's natural ability or inclination, or that's what's being coached into them. It's really nice and refreshing to see. And I know we've said this a number of times previously about U16 sides, but yeah, there's a lot of promise there, and so we obviously hope for the best for them in California in the semifinal, and hopefully in the final.
It's the first time the 16s have made it into the Final Four. 18s have been there twice, been to 2 championship games in 2012 and 2016, heartbreaking both. It was great to see Michael Baldissimo out there. He's been playing with the USL and U18s all year. Escobar that you mentioned, he's mainly been playing with the 18 side this year as well. But, I mean, Michael Baldissimo came on as a sub in 2015 and scored the goal that took that game to extra time in the quarter-final. So a couple of years later, he's still with the 16s. It's just incredible what he's done. But fantastic showing from the 16s. We wish them well. We'll have full coverage on AFTN from the quarter-final game and in the build-up to the semis and the final as well. So that is it for this episode of the show. Just before we go, Zach, let everyone know where they can find you online.
On Twitter, it's at ZacharyAM, and I'm part of the Movement Curve Collective.
And Will, where can people find you online?
So on Twitter, at William A. Silver, and I'm also part of a movement called Curve Collective.
I'm Michael McCall. I'm not part of the Movement Curve Collective. I kind of feel a bit left out tonight. But you can find me on Twitter at AFTN Canada. Read all our stuff away from the numbers, aftn.ca. Follow us on Instagram at AFTN Soccer. And we'll be back on Sunday with the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio, 101.9 FM, CITR.ca online, 11 PM, live every Sunday. This podcast is brought to you in partnership with BC Soccer Web, your one-stop site for all your local, national and international links. And there'll be lots of stuff on that for the Gold Cup coming up, so make sure you check bcsoccerweb.com every day. But until next time, we hope you've enjoyed the ambient noise in the background. As always, thanks for listening, take care, and mon the Caps!
Going to your first match is an experience you never forget. The atmosphere of what's going on around the pitch looks beautiful, and you always look and go, wow, I'd love to play here one day. If you get the bug, it's going to stay with you for life.